Hello YouTube fanatics, this is the Riles bringing you some Age of Empires online gameplay. Now of course the game hasn't been released yet, so it's only in beta phase. And there's only one really playable civilization right now, which is the Greeks. But besides that, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of an Age of Empires history lesson, just sum it up in a nutshell. So basically Age of Empires 1, very popular game, critically acclaimed by most, very solid RTS. And after that, Age of Empires 2 came along, and its expansion, The Conquerors, which is probably the most popular entry in the series. Even though the official game servers are no longer available, you're not able to play online on the official game servers because MSN gaming zones shut down. But you're still able to play online over third-party game server clients like Voobly and GameRanger. And you'll still find lots and lots of people playing Age of Empires 2. After that, Age of Empires 3, it departed from its medieval roots, sort of. Age of Empires 1 and 2 were medieval themed. Age of Empires 3 is more colonial America and like 18th century themed. So you'll have units like musketmen and cannons and things like that, when compared to Age of Empires 2, where you had units like swordsmen, archers, and things of that nature, you know, medieval looking stuff. So Age of Empires 3 came along when it came out, had, I don't know, a decent fan base, I guess, sort of a moderately sized community based around the game, and still has sort of a moderate sized community. Go online in Age of Empires 3, you'll find approximately like 1,000 players playing games. And now, Ensemble Studios, or who's ever taken over the project, I don't know. Maybe it's, what's that other developer named? Ooh, I'm blanking out. I don't really care. But whatever. Microsoft has now come to the conclusion that they're going to develop Age of Empires Online, which of course will be the latest entry in the Age of Empires series when it does come out. Now the main reason I'm doing this video is to provide for just people in general a basic overview of Age of Empires Online, because there's a lot of misconception surrounding the game and its actual gameplay, because we've seen the cartoony graphics and some of the MMORTS influences from the trailers and videos that Microsoft has released and things like that. And a lot of people are angry, frankly, about the direction that this game is headed in. And I'm just here to clear up some of the cloudiness that surrounds the game, because a lot of people have based their opinions solely upon the graphical facts and solely upon the fact that it's going to be more accessible to more people and the casual gamer. So I'm going to be here sort of to dismiss some of those claims. This game uses Windows Live. And if you don't really know what that means, well then you can sort of compare Windows Live to Steam. It lets you see if your friends are online, allows you to set up games between people. It's sort of like a matchmaking system. Just a bit glorified. You can buy games and digitally download them and things like that. Now a lot of people have gripes with Windows Live, and I can't really provide a good opinion on whether or not Windows Live is a good client, because I own Steam and I think it's pretty terrific. And just now using Age of Empires, or playing Age of Empires Online, I've experienced Windows Live. And lots of people have complained, oh, Windows Live sucks, matchmaking is going to take forever, finding PvP people to play against will be a bitch, and things like that. And I've experienced none of that so far. I just signed in with my gamertag, and then I was playing the game. So, I mean, I don't have much experience with Windows Live, so you can probably totally disregard my opinion on this. Maybe once I start playing the game more, I'll start to notice little quirks and things that bug me about Windows Live. But as far as that argument goes, for now, you know, Windows Live is sufficient, I think, for running the game. I made you run a marathon before you actually got to this part, the part you've been waiting for and craving. So here I am, playing as the Greeks, and immediately you see this capital city. This persistent world that a lot of people have been complaining about. But I think it's pretty awesome. So basically your capital city could be compared to the home city in Age of Empires 3. Although the capital city here is way more advanced and you can do more things, and it's just in general more awesome than the home city ever was in Age of Empires 3. Basically what the home city in Age of Empires 3 did was enabled you to do things in this persistent world that you could bring to an actual match in the form of a shipment. So let's say you researched something in your capital city, or you chose a tech path and you unlocked a different unit. Then when you went to a match, you were actually able to produce that unit. And it's just sort of cool. I like the home city in Age of Empires 3. It was sort of cool. It made your civ completely customized. Even though somebody else might play the same civilization as you, the tactics that could differ because of your home city choices was really insane. So I think this MMO RTS aspect of Age of Empires Online really is quite cool. You can see me rearranging stuff in my inventory. Basically that's just a bunch of supplies I can build different buildings with. And no, we're not an actual game, so I'm not going to just harvest wood. But there's my mailbox, and obviously I'm a very unpopular person in life and in video games, so there's no mail for me. But I like this persistent, I like this MMORTS style. I mean, basically the capital city is like a glorified interface or menu. This is where you go, this is how you get to PvP, this is how you enter single player scenarios, this is how you do co-op with other players. This is where you make a lot of choices, and it's actually quite cool, I think. As you can see in the top left corner of the screen, there's my city name and city level, Rylesville, level 7. So since I've already played the game quite a bit, not extremely a lot, but just enough. Since I've played the game just enough, I've got a lot of different options that I can put my points into, and I don't know, there's just so much to do here, it's really hard to explain. You just have to experience it for yourself, but basically, it's like a home city from Age of Empires 3. This is where you can work out the subtleties of your civ differences and your strategies versus other people and things like that. So one person's capital city will be completely different from another person's, and in turn, their playstyle might be completely different. So right here, you'll see me actually go into a quest. Now what a quest is, it's a single player scenario or co-op scenario that allows you, that once completed, allows you to get money and points and things like that that you can put back into your capital city. So this quest is actually a single player scenario where this is the actual meat of the game. Like, this is the actual gameplay. Like, this is the Age of Empires, you know. Build villagers, make attacking units, destroy your enemy. So right away you can see that my objectives are to kill the chieftain and have my town center survive for however many minutes. You can see the little hourglass symbol. I got 12 minutes and 39 seconds to survive, and I'm surrounded by the enemy. So there's 3 enemy town centers. I start off with meager amounts, stockpiles of food, wood and gold and stone, and I have to try to survive and also kill their chieftain Clitus. Mr. Clitoris, I have to slay him with my tongue? No, with a sword. But so basically this is the Age of Empires you know and love, just with a lot of improvements, I think. Now, some people don't like the direction that the graphics have gone in. And I sort of don't know what to think really of it. But in the end, I think I'll end up liking the graphical choice, because it makes things easily distinguishable. It gives it a stylized taste. As you can see, the enemy is knocking at my gate. Luckily, my town center. Now the town center doesn't need people in it to shoot. you know, I can fire one arrow if people aren't garrisoned in it, which is sort of nice. I mean, that means I don't have to. That means I don't have to take all my villagers off of whatever they're doing to have the town center be effective. So right away, you know, I just built up a little defensive force consisting of these guys called... God, what are they called? They're good against infantry. I forget what they're called. But versus infantry, they're good, and all the enemies sending at me now is clubmen, and clubmen are infantry. So, pretty basic formula I'm using here to defeat the enemy. But, you know, starting off with meager beginnings and then working your way up through the tech tree and building units and building counters and strategizing and things like that, this is all basic familiar gameplay that Age of Empires is famous for. At least Age of Empires 2. I think a lot of people overlook, you know, the actual game. This is the actual game. You could completely disregard the capital city element, and you would still have a full-fledged game. So right now you can see I'm building a bunch of farms. I'm a little scared to venture outside my walls because there are scary bad guys out there. Resorting to farming inside my walls. A bit safer. You can see they're pounding away. And I am having to recreate a little group of dudes, anti-infantry dudes. Which I will continue to make, because if he keeps sending clubmen at me, that's what I'll do. I mean, in the beginning here, there's lots of... It's really rudimentary simple. I mean, there's a lot in terms of core gameplay. In the beginning, like levels 1 through 5, there's really not a lot of variety. And even now, I've only just brushed like my different... I've only just begun to brush up against my different tech choices and things like that. You can see I'm just holding off the enemy, my town center providing an advantage. I can fire from afar. And the enemy dudes have to beat on my walls before they can do anything to my actual guys inside, so... Just playing some basic defense here. Building more anti-infantry dudes. I really need to find out what those are called. Then I'm gonna create some towers. See, I'm gonna try to explain why the capital city could be integral in your strategy, because in my capital city, there's the building... Oh geez, what's it called? Whatever, it's like your main hall thing where you decide your tech tree options. So, in that, I decided that I wanted to spend the points I earned on towers. And that's very handy for this scenario. However, I could have spent it on things like unlocking a new archery unit, or I could have done a lot of things with the points I had. But I chose to get towers. And this really limits me and also opens up my options at the same time. I know it's sort of an ironic statement, but I mean, it can really affect how the game plays out, your choices at the capital city. So right here, I can't build any archery units, but that doesn't really matter since I'm playing defense. So the tech choice of getting towers over, you know, unit upgrades or unit unlocks or things like that actually turned out to be good, but could also turn out bad if I decide to, you know, go against... If I decided to PvP someone right now, I wouldn't have any archers, and that might not be so good, you know. Towers are only so useful, and against a competent PvP player, the towers might become null and void. So, I mean, there's just really interesting ways that your capital city can affect your game. Now I've got 2 barracks, and I'm pumping out the dual-wielding blade dudes with shields on their backs and monkey-like stances as they sit idle, as they stand idle. So just building some towers, shoring up my defenses. I got 6 minutes and 30 seconds remaining. I also like the hotkey setup.